U.S. tech giants now owe billions in taxes and fines to Europe.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verified, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM-agnostic, IP liability-free. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI. And by Amazon Business, focused on offering smart business buying solutions, leading time to focus on growth. More at AmazonBusiness.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. The European Union's highest court just said Apple has to pay a tax bill valued at north of $14 billion. It also said Google has to pay an antitrust fine of more than $2.5 billion. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
The twin rulings from the European Union's top court and years of litigation in landmark cases, which have been a test of the bloc's efforts to rein in big tech. The Apple case dates back to 2016, when European regulators ordered the company to pay more than $14 billion in back taxes to Ireland. A lot of multinationals, including tech giants, located European operations in Ireland to take advantage of lower taxes. The country has since agreed to change its policies. In a statement, Apple said it had never enjoyed a special deal in Ireland. The company has argued that its income was already taxed in the U.S. But the EU's High Court said Apple must now pay the $14 billion in back taxes plus interest. Alphabet's Google, meanwhile, must pay a more than $2.5 billion fine, first levied in 2017 for just one aspect of its business, how it displayed comparison shopping results. It's facing billions more in other EU antitrust fines. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
You may have noticed that your electric bill is higher these days than it used to be, maybe a lot higher. Well, many utilities around the country have asked state regulators for permission to raise rates in the last few years and gotten it. Regulators approved nearly $10 billion in net rate increases last year, according to the Federal Energy Information Administration. That is more than twice what they approved in 2022. One big reason for all the increases, climate change. Marketplace's Samantha Fields has more.
We all want reliable electricity, and utilities are charged with supplying it. But
when we have wildfires and when we have other natural disasters, the utility reliability suffers.
Barbara Cates-Garnick at Tufts University's Fletcher School says as climate change makes disasters more common, utilities are working to make the grid more resilient.
They are saying, I bury the line underground, I'll insulate it, I'll make it impervious to the wildfire or the flood. Well, that's expensive.
Also expensive, building solar and wind farms and transmission lines to connect them to the grid. Utilities are passing a lot of these expenses on to ratepayers. Diana Hernandez at Columbia's Center on Global Energy Policy says in New York,
there was a rate increase last year that would mean that by 2025, the average household bill would go up by $65 a month.
For many people, that's a lot.
I don't think that there's too much disagreement on whether or not, these investments are necessary for the utilities to make.
Where there is some tension, Hernandez says, is around what the corresponding rate increases mean for people who are struggling with rising bills. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all up in the 1 to 0.4% range, with Dow futures up 43 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 3.702%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Clear Channel Outdoor, an out-of-home billboard company harnessing innovation and technology to connect advertisers with consumers. Clear Channel's data-driven solutions reach consumers on the go. Billboardsforbusiness.com. And by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at PaloAltoNetworks.com.
Now for a check-in on the restaurant industry. This is an industry that has been through a lot. Inflation and wage increases have hit bottom lines and menus hard. And for many restaurant categories, foot traffic is down this year. Then there's the transformation of tipping. Kelly Eston is Chief Marketing Officer at Toast, which makes those point-of-service machines at restaurants that you tap to pay with your card. They also make back-end software for restaurants, and they've released a new restaurant trends report based on all the data that they see. Good morning, Kelly Eston.
Thank you so much for having me.
Restaurant prices are up about 4% from a year ago, according to the Consumer Price Index. And of course, they rose by much more than that the year before and the year before. How are people responding to that from the data that you all see?
We explored 20 U.S. cities and found that consumer spending at quick service restaurants saw a noticeable shift towards breakfast and away from dinner and late night transactions. So what we're really seeing is consumers going more towards those convenience moments, using that as kind of the pickup in their day and spending less time and money out in the evenings. You know, as consumers' habits are changing and as they're paying a little bit more attention to their wallets, we're seeing them really move towards those convenience moments. So breakfast on the way to work or picking up a quick lunch while they're out and about or in the office is really the moment they're choosing to spend their restaurant dollars on.
Tipping is a very hot topic. Both presidential candidates have flirted with policy proposals to eliminate the income tax on tips, but a number of states are considering ending the tip credit. That's where restaurants can use tips to cover part of a waiter's minimum wage so they don't have to sort of pay for it themselves. Do you find any changes that could illuminate those policy debates?
You know, we're seeing tipping overall be flat. And we do see different trends in tipping across different states. So average tips across the country were about 18.8% in Q2. And you see that more in full service restaurants than quick service restaurants. California is one of the lowest tipping states. They have a 17.3% tip across all restaurants, which is a slight dip from 17.4% in Q1.
Does having a view onto how tipping is shaking out across the country, does that affect how you personally decide to tip?
As a person who works all day, every day with restaurants, I tend to be a big tipper. That's where I like to be. But what we see is that people's behavior in tipping hasn't really changed. I think our average person who's interacting with restaurants every day is really making decisions based on their own personal experience. It's hard for them to keep track of everything that's going on with tipping and policy in restaurants.
Kelly Eston is Chief Marketing Officer of Toast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From 8 p.m., American Public Media.